Kwesi Pratt Jr. to be amane eye Alexander Kwamena Afenyo marking. Ene Afenyo no Mahama Ayariga. Efa eye debater ekoso ewo parliament enra concerning eye the change of name of Kotoka International Airport to eye Accra International Airport. Kwesi Pratt Jr. He supports the changing of the name. Name reasons are Mahama Ayariga ejina so. Ene Afenyo no Afenyo marking so they defended ne ho. And I say they oppose the change of the name no. No odwene ho a onte ase na this should have been a debate, and I said near omogina so no should have been a debate between some ghetto gangsters. Name it shouldn't be a debate between young parliamentarians. Oto atnesem so no oma some history of Kotoka concerning a kwanya of us overthrew Kwame Nkrumah ene Afenyo no kwanya obetena Ghana akonya kese so ensem we ne ensem ahuru bi na Kwesi Pratt Jr. Editor dwa abra na ochre na dwen afa the change of name from Kotoka International Airport to Accra International Airport. Ha Citizen Voice. Subscribe to the channel, bell notification no na share ma afoforo ensa enkabi. Yentie Kwesi Pratt Jr.
Kwesi, the matter is back to the front burner again. Accra International Airport, and you can see the 3D drawings of it. This is how Kotoka will now look if the bill is passed and the renaming happens. Accra International Airport. What are your thoughts on this?
Well, first of all, I'm very, very deeply worried.
Why?
About the fact that national discourse is being reduced to theater. There's too much theater in everything. So we are not, allowed by the circumstances to discuss national issues based on empirical evidence, based on logical deductions, and so on. There's too much theater. And that is reflected in the current debate about whether or not to change the name or not to change the name. As a matter of fact, reasons given for changing the name and reasons given for retaining the name lack any they lack any substance. Let me be mild. Let me be
diplomatic.
Very mild.
Okay.
They lack any substance. Childish in the extreme. You understand? You have a majority leader announcing that the name of the airport is going to be changed. And the primary reason for changing the name of the airport is that it's located in Accra, and the land which was used for the construction of the airport was given by the people of Accra. By logical extension,
thank you.
Everything in Accra should be named Accra.
Absolutely, Kwesi. You just made my day.
By logical extension.
You just made my day.
I mean, unbelievable.
You just made my day, Kwesi.
Moro, is that how our leaders think? It's so very shocking. So by logical extension, if God chiefs give land for the construction of any and everything, it should be named Accra. And the naming of the airport as Kotoka International Airport is seen as a crime against gas. How? That's problematic. Then you move on to the minority leader. Oh my goodness. And he's even worse than the majority leader. His reason for opposing the change of name is that the name belongs to an Ewe, or somebody from the Volta region. And that if you change it, you must necessarily annoy the people of the Volta region. He reduces it to ethnicity, to some base, bigoted, nonsensical tribalism. This is the debate. Are you not shocked? This is the level of debate. Now, if this debate was probably taking place in some God-forsaken ghetto of drug addicts and so on, no problem. That's the level you would expect. But this debate is taking place in Parliament. The foremost law-making institution in our country. This is the level of the debate. Can you believe it? I'm so shocked. Look, the agitation for the change of name of the Kotoka International Airport has a long history. It started in the 1960s. And initially it was led by people like, Johnny Hansen, F.S. Hansen, Dr. Lutrot, and others. Over the years, there was a point at which the National Union of Ghana Students called for the change of name. The Convention People's Party has always insisted that the name should change. The Afro-Asian People's Solidarity Organization has called for this name to be changed, and so on. Indeed, there was one time when I listened to an international stand-up comedian make the point that Ghana is a very strange place, You fly to the airport, you arrive at the airport, and you are greeted with the name of Kotoka, who overthrew the Nkrumah government. And who stood for principles which were completely opposed to Augustino Neto's principles and so on. And then you drive through Augustino Neto Street and so on. I mean, he did such an excellent job, showed the contradictions, and so on. Now, I have always believed that the name of the airport needs to be changed, for good reason. One, the 1966 coup was planned, instigated, and carried out by the Central Intelligence Agency of the United States of America. No doubt at all about it. Indeed, the declassified documents of the CIA show that very clearly. In fact, evidence provided by John Stockwell, who was one of the leading agents of the CIA, confirmed that. A book authored by Richard D. Mahoney, who was the son of the U.S. ambassador in Ghana at the time, confirms that, with documents and so on, confirms that. So there's no doubt at all that this coup was instigated, planned, and executed by the Central Intelligence Agency of the United States of America, using local agents, some of whose names have never been made public. You understand? Based on what I know, and I've done a lot of work on this matter, as a matter of fact, I interviewed A.K. Deku a few weeks before he died, and it's on tape. You can find it on YouTube and so on, his own confessions. The principal actor in organizing that coup was a Major Kwesi. How many people know this Major Kwesi? It wasn't Kotoka. It wasn't Afrifa. The principal actor was a Major Kwesi, who was resident at the 37 Military Hospital. Indeed, it was in his house that all these plans took place and so on. And in my interview with A.K. Deku, I asked him what he thought of Nkrumah. And A.K. Deku said in that interview that in his view, Nkrumah was the best president that Africa has ever had. This A.K. Deku was part of the conspiracy to overthrow the Nkrumah government. And you can refer to that. Then I asked him, so why then did you join a conspiracy to overthrow him? He said his life was at stake. And that if he had chickened out, he would have been murdered.
By who?
By the conspirators. He didn't have room to opt out. The tape is there, his own voice and so on. So it is clear that the 1966 coup was a foreign-inspired conspiracy against the interest of Ghana and Africa. There is no doubt at all about it. We need to read John Stockwell, we need to read Philip Agee, and so on. It's clear. Clear as daylight. Now, again, it is not in doubt that after the 1966, February 1966 coup, our development efforts suffered severely. And Ghana began to experience a downward, spiral in terms of our development and so on. There's no doubt at all. So do you honor this coup d'etat? Do you honor this conspiracy against the Ghanaian national interest? That's the point. That's the point, nothing more. Now, you have political parties which today claim that coup d'etats are an aberration, we should not encourage coup d'etats, and that under no circumstance should we tolerate coup d'etats. In fact, they argue that the worst multi-party democratic dispensation is better than a coup regime. That's the argument they put forward. I don't agree with them. I don't agree with them. Because I know that some governments which emerge from this multi-party democratic dispensation can be worse than military regimes. And I can give examples, okay? But that's not the point.
That's another conversation.
That's another conversation.
Yeah.
But if they insist that coup d'etats, by their very nature, are bad, are condemnable, should not be encouraged, and so on, how do you name the international airport, Ghana's biggest, most advanced airport, after a coup maker? How do you do that? You understand what I'm saying?
Right.
That's the point. How do you do that? Today, all of us, even including the right-wing elements in parliament and outside parliament and so on, at least pay lip service to Pan-Africanism. How do you honor somebody who staged a coup against the foremost advocate of Pan-Africanism in the world, and then proceeded to actually dismantle guerrilla camps which had been set up here to liberate African countries under the yoke of colonialism, capture their leaders, and send them back to the colonialists to be killed? How do you honor him? How do you honor him? How do you honor Kwesi Kotoka? And then this, and please, Moro, please, forgive my language. I've been struggling to find appropriate language. I cannot. Because the ethnic argument is so childish and backward, it's unbelievable. Why? That because he's Ever and he comes from the Volta region, if you change the name, the people of Ever and so on will be angry. Where is this argument coming from? I know as a fact that after the 1966 coup, just bearing the name Fiawo was a problem. You wouldn't survive. Because one of the staunchest supporters of the Nkrumah government in the Kita area and so on was Fiawo. You understand? He was Fiawo. His children, I went to school with some of his children and so on. Just bearing the name Fiawo spelled calamity. The numbers of people who were thrown into detention without trial and charge included others. I can mention a whole list of names. Excuse me.
Sorry about that.
Now, even the attack on Flagstaff House, you know that the coup was resisted by the presidential guard over a long period of time.
Yeah.
The attack on Flagstaff House, Kotoka and his people killed others. Others who were in the presidential guard were not spared because they were others. They were killed. You understand? The coup d'etat, the ministers who were arrested and dumped into prison without charge and without trial included others. They included Reverend Boka, who was an Ever. You understand? They included Reverend Boka, who was an Ever. So how does this become an Ever versus who? How does this issue become ever versus others. It doesn't make sense. It's pedestrian. It's unbelievable. And this is the leadership of the minority in parliament. Everything must be reduced to one tribe against the other. Can you believe it? I am completely disgusted by the level of debate. I am ashamed by the level of debate. Kwame Nkrumah's Ghana, in 2026, we are going to take an important national decision. Whether you are for it or against it, come with sensible arguments and stop playing this tribal card. Because both of them are playing tribal cards. So if you're against the renaming, then you're against the gas. If you're for the renaming, then you're against the others. What level of
let me interrupt because I don't like. My gut feeling tells me that Kwesi Pratt is about to explode.